Hello my loves, what is up and welcome back to my channel. Hope you guys are all doing well, having yourselves a good day or night whenever you're watching this. And welcome to my mid-year reset, my annual mid-year reset, which makes me sound like freaking President Snow. Welcome to the annual Hunger Games. Which is kind of how it feels, honestly. I have been putting off, and I find myself doing this each and every year, putting off doing a mid-year reset because it just feels so confronting. It really is like the Hunger Games, isn't it? It's confronting. It's confronting seeing all these hopes, dreams, and desires and goals that you set for yourself at the beginning of the year and maybe not living up to all of those goals, or checking in on the budget and being like, oh, okay, I've maybe spent a little bit more on coffee than I otherwise intended. One thing I always come back to though, and I've said this time and time again, there's no point burying your head in the sand. Your position and where you're at, especially pertaining to personal finance, is your position. Like, numbers don't lie. There's no point burying your head in the sand. It's so much easier and reduces so much anxiety and worry just confronting it head on and taking control. And that's kind of what I need today. I need a little bit of that. I feel like I need a bit of an accountability check-in and a bit of time to refine and reflect. I used to be so rigid when it came to my goal setting. I was like, nope, those are my goals. If I set them at the beginning of the year, I have to achieve them. But we're very fluid as human beings. We change. I'm always changing, week in, week out. I'm learning new things about myself and what I want out of life. So I'm definitely not the same person I was even 6 months ago, and it's okay if we need to rejig and refine those goals. So that's what we're going to be doing today. It's definitely a more softer, less girl bossy approach to a mid-year reset. I love watching those videos and they do motivate me in a lot of ways, but that's just not me. So we're going to kick things off by going over our 2025 goals. These might look quite familiar to you guys. I do often refer back to them in my monthly resets. A lot of my monthly goals, I'm trying to slowly work towards those overall yearly goals, but I feel like they could do with a bit of an update. So I'm going to pull this up here and we can update them together. So here are my yearly goals. We've got them broken up into different categories: personal, wellness, financial, career, and home. We're just going to go through these, tick the ones off that we've already achieved, maybe remove some if they don't align with me anymore, and then add any that I want to add. So starting off with personal, first goal is to read 25 books. We are definitely not on track with this one. I don't think it's completely out of reach though. If I really had a good solid 6 months of reading, like 6 good reading months, I could definitely do this. So I'm going to still leave it at 25 books. I've definitely read more than I did last year, which is an achievement within itself. Next is to keep screen time under 3 hours a day. I'm not going to tick this one off just yet, but we're definitely getting there. Try a new bar/restaurant once a month, doing well with that. Organize 2 date nights a month, also tracking well with that. This one I've already ticked off. Plan a trip to Canada and the US. We went in April, May. Literally the best time ever. And the vlogs from that I love. I've already gone back and watched them like 3 times. 3 times. I already miss it so much. It was such a fun trip. Scrapbook more. I'm gonna tick this one off. I have been scrapbooking up a storm, if I do say so myself. This one's a really good reminder. Say the compliment in my head. I was so good about this in the beginning of the year. It was something I really wanted to work on. I often have, like most people, have nice thoughts, and I'm not always the best about expressing them and actually saying them out loud. And I just noticed towards the end of last year, several people just complimenting me or just like saying nice things in passing and how good it made me feel. I was like, I want to be that kind of person. I want to say the nice things I think out loud. So this is a good reminder because I was really good about that in the beginning of the year. Give back more. I'm taking this one off. This has been a big focus of mine. Making consistent monthly donations, giving back in other ways like through the food bank. If a friend or someone from school is doing a fundraiser, donating to that. No negative reading. This is something I really struggled with towards the end of last year. It absolutely consumed me, just seeing all of this negativity in the social media space, either about myself or just other people, and it just really started to affect me more than I'd like to admit. It made me really second guess myself and how I showed up online, and so I've definitely made a really conscious effort of avoiding that as much as possible. I haven't been perfect. I don't think anyone's perfect. I catch myself all the time getting caught up in online drama and gossip. I think we're only human, but it's something I'm a lot more conscious of because it's just negative. It's negative energy and I don't need that in my life. So I'm going to say yes to this. And then last goal was to get pregnant, lol. I love that I set this as a goal. Moving on to my 2025 wellness goals. I want to be intentional with my AM and PM routine. I'm not going to tick this one off quite yet. My morning routine, solid. She is solid. I'm waking up the same time every day. I'm actually going to bed the same time every day, but I feel like my nighttime routine is not as refined as I would like it to be. We actually recently got a projector for our bedroom. I've never had any kind of TV in my room. Growing up, my parents were like, no TVs in the bedroom, which I get now because it's consuming me. I go to bed and rather than reading or connecting with my husband, God forbid, I'm watching something on my bedroom wall, usually Gossip Girl. Yeah, it's bad. I kind of want to cut that out and save the projector for special occasions, like the weekends. I'm like having to get strict with myself like a child. Next goal is to plan daily and tackle the most important task first thing. I'm definitely good about my daily to-do list. That's something that I need. Am I tackling the most important task first thing though? No, that's a nice reminder. 10,000 steps daily. I'm actually going to lower this to 8,000 steps. That's been my new goal. I feel like 10,000 is just such an arbitrary number and 8,000 is a lot more achievable. We did successfully complete the 75 soft challenge. I haven't started therapy. Again, a nice reminder. And this is why I like doing mid-year resets, because it really holds you accountable and it's like, oh, I should do that. That is something I do want to achieve. I have 6 months to get there. How am I going to do it? What is our roadmap? Otherwise, like, what's the point of setting yearly goals? Moving on to your financial goals, I wanted to utilize sinking funds and actually do it this year. I've been talking about doing this for years, and I have in some ways, like we always have a bills sinking fund, but I have stepped it up this year, and this has quite literally become a personality trait of mine, is my sinking funds. I'm obsessed with them. Even just recently, we got our car service, 570 bucks, whatever it was, pulled straight from our car sinking fund. It felt so good. It literally felt like free money. I love sinking funds, and I will not be going back anytime soon. Next goal was to do 1 no spend week a month. I was really good about this the first 3 or 4 months of this year and then dropped the ball when we went away. So definitely getting back to that. Invest monthly. I'm not going to tick this one off quite yet, but we are tracking really well with that. We have invested every single month so far. Also tracking really well with paying off an extra $50,000 of our mortgage. That is currently in our offset account. So far we've paid off an extra $25,800. So right on target. We are tracking really well with that. This one, I don't know if this is still in alignment. We're still kind of figuring it out, but start planning for an investment property. I don't know if it's still on the cards or if we want to shift our focus into something else. It's very much still up in the air. I'm going to leave it for now, and if it happens, it happens. If we decide to do something else with our money, then we'll see. And then last one that I've already ticked off is to increase our net worth to 400,000. We have well and truly smashed that one, mostly because the value of our house has gone up by a considerable amount and we're also paying extra. Really proud of that one. And that's a combined net worth, I should preface. I'm trying to think if there's any other financial goals I might want to add. I have been thinking a lot about my super, which is not a fun thing to think about. This is our retirement fund here in Australia. If you're employed in like a regular, so sorry, that was my dog. Girls, can you not hit the tripod, please? Yeah, here in Australia, it's mandatory for your employer to pay into your super fund. I think going into the new financial year, it's 12% rate. And this is all like pre-tax, like you don't even have to think about it. As someone that is self-employed, it works a little bit differently. Like I have to be the one to contribute to my super, and I've actually been pretty good about it, especially in the last year, but my balance was quite low from seasons of unemployment. When I lost my job, there was several months where I wasn't getting paid anything into my super. I also lived abroad for a couple of years, so that set me back. And just working like entry-level jobs like any other 20-year-old, I was on like $50,000 a year, and so 12% of 50,000 obviously not comparable to where I'm at now and what I should be paying into my super now. And so I've done a really good job of bringing it up in the last year or so. It's still not exactly where I would like to see it, so I'm gonna say have $50,000 in my super fund. This is just for me specifically. Nick's super is fine. He's always had steady employment and his work pays more than the mandatory contribution, so he's fine. I would like to be where he's at. I think at the moment, let's just get real here, shall we? Currently in my super fund or my retirement fund, I have $37,564.19. So this isn't my only investments. I also have ETFs, and this does fluctuate obviously with the market, but I would like to see that closer to 50,000. It is actually on par. I was doing some research. It's on par with the average for my age and gender. There was a few discrepancies between some of the statistics I saw. One website said the average super balance of a female 25 to 29 is $23,273, in which case I really exceed that. And then another website said $36,700. So either way, I'm on par with the average, but the average doesn't necessarily mean a comfortable retirement. This chart, for example, has super balance needed for a comfortable retirement, gender, age, average balance, and the balance required today for a comfortable retirement, and then what the gap is. And there is a big gap. So female 30, average balance is 38,000. Balance required for a comfortable retirement is 59,000. So that's a $21,000 gap. Average versus what you actually might need, depending on what kind of retirement and what age you want to retire, is very different. So I would feel a lot more comfortable about having $50,000 by the time I'm 29. For career goals, I have go on a podcast. I would still love to do this. Attend more influencer and creator events. This one's a little tricky. It's kind of outside of my control. Adelaide's quite a small city, especially when it comes to that kind of thing. So there isn't a ton going on. I have had a couple of invites, which is so sweet, but they've always clashed with something else, unfortunately. But I'm determined. Hopefully going into the summer, maybe there'll be something that pops up. Hit 75,000 subscribers on YouTube, 67,420 at the moment. So we're not far off. Hit 100,000 followers on Instagram. This was a big goal of mine. We've smashed it. Hit 75,000 followers on TikTok, another numerical goal. Where are we at with that? TikTok is like one platform I just don't really pay attention to in terms of my growth. It's just so chill to me. Like maybe I should pay more attention to it because brands definitely pay attention to it. Like I should probably give it some more thought and consideration. 66,200 followers on TikTok. I just feel like it's nice to have one platform that feels more chill, you know? I can just post whatever I want to post. This one I've already ticked off, more yapping, less editing. I feel like I've gotten really good about this. This video is probably not a great example. I feel like there'll be a lot of drops because I do tend to ramble. Like my sit down videos, I have to cut a lot of stuff out. My dogs are barking, I get distracted, I lose my train of thought, or I stumble on my words. That's a perfect example. When it comes to vlogging, I feel like I've been a lot more yappy, less refined. Hopefully still interesting. Hopefully my editing's still okay, but just leaving in more of those like authentic, real moments. And again, kind of linking back to the no negative reading, just not second guessing myself as much. And then last one is to go on another brand trip. I'm gonna tick this one off because I am going on a brand trip, which is super exciting. And then last but not least, we have our home goals. Only set 2. One was to fit out the wardrobes. Still procrastinating that, unfortunately. And more artwork. I forgot about this one. Have I done any more artwork? I guess a little bit around the house. I'm not gonna take this one off. I am gonna add another one though. I wanna build a fence. Not literally like me. I'm not gonna build the fence, but I do want a fence, which I think this confused some people when I mentioned it last month. We already have a fence, like we have a perimeter. There is a perimeter fence, but I mean like a front fence, just to really enclose us, really create a fortress around our house, a little bubble. Is there a fence emoji? Surely. Can I do this, the little fencer guy? Sure. Well, so far we've achieved none of our home goals, which is a nice reminder. 43% of our career goals, which is awesome. I'm really happy with that. 29% of our financial goals, some of these I can't tick off until the end of the year. 20% of our wellness goals and 40% of our personal goals. This is a really nice visual seeing that. It's like, oh, I could put more effort into my wellness and really focusing on that in the second half of this year. And my home, apparently. And actually doing those home projects that I've been talking about doing for the last 6 months. We've had a change of location. I've moved into my living room. Got the cozy fire going on in the background. My dogs absolutely losing their minds at each other. They always do this. Anytime I sit down, I think it's because I'm on the floor. They're like, oh, playtime. And they just play with each other constantly. Yeah, so don't mind that. Hopefully it's not too distracting. I wanted to sit down here because I've got things to do on my laptop. We're going to be tip-tapping away and really getting into the nitty-gritty numbers. I actually went back and watched my mid-year reset from last year so we can compare our budget and see how our debt payoff's going, if we're spending more than last year, if we're saving more, just really compare. There's nothing quite like your past self to like really hold you accountable. I do this all the time. Anytime I'm feeling uninspired, I'll go back and watch my old vlogs or look at photos to like re-inspire myself, be like, wow, if that was me 12 months ago, like why can I not get back into that same headspace, you know? Obviously things change, but I don't want to be giving into lifestyle creep too much. So this would be a good opportunity to hold myself accountable and really see if our spending this year has been in line and if we need to rein it in for the last half of the year. I will say going back and watching that video from a year ago kind of made me a little sad. Like normally it inspires me, but I was in a really hard place, a really difficult place mentally, and I don't know if you could pick up on it in that video or if it's just me because I know myself, but I was in struggle town and I was putting on a brave face, to say the least. So it was sad to watch, but it was also really encouraging to see just how far I've come and how much healing I've done over the last 12 months. Anyway, before we get into the comparison, comparing our budget from last year, I just want to double check that my monthly budget is in line with everything. Like I'm happy with everything that's on here. Midway through the year is a really good opportunity to check in and make sure that everything on your budget, all of the different categories, your expenses, everything is how you want it to be, because you really have full creative control of your budget and how it's set up. As I've mentioned many a times, I use the 2.0 spreadsheet from CoPlenty. I always have a link down below along with my discount code in case you're interested. I have heaps of videos on how I've set it up, how I use it for like our everyday payday routine. I have a full playlist on my YouTube if you guys want to watch that. But basically we have it broken up into different categories. So income, this is fine. We've just got Nick's paycheck. He gets paid fortnightly, so we have paycheck 1, paycheck 2, and sometimes it's a 3 paycheck month like this month. And then I just have my business income, and then any miscellaneous stuff that might come through, if there's like a refund, dividends, interest, that kind of thing, that falls under miscellaneous. Then we've got our bills. I don't think anything needs updating on here. I gave this a thorough look over when I did my July reset because some of our bill amounts had changed. We're now paying for private health insurance. We decided to do that at the beginning of the financial year because we're paying for it come tax time with the Medicare levy surcharge. We may as well get something for it, I guess. Our phone bill's also gone up by a few dollars, just a few little changes. And then we have gas, electricity, water, and council rates. These are all quarterly bills. We set aside the same amount every single month in our bills account. So when those bills are due, they just come out. Everything's direct debited, don't even have to think about it. In summer, our electricity bills are usually higher because we're using the aircon a lot more. But then in winter, we're not spending $120 on electricity. So it kind of evens out. So those are fine. We'll stick with that. Same with subscriptions. Again, a good opportunity to go through and do an audit of your subscriptions if you're paying for any that are necessary. If you're not using any, all of these we use. Spotify, obviously, Amazon Prime. One of you guys actually recommended switching over to annual, which I think we might do because it's significantly cheaper. I didn't even know that was an option. I think when I signed up, it was not an option. But yeah, we use Amazon all the time. Apple, I've swapped over the direct debit to come out of my business account. Netflix, $7.99. We have the plan with ads, which I used to say I never noticed ads. And I feel like since I started saying that, I do notice ads. Disney Plus, we recently signed up for. It was $4.99 for like the first 4 months. We might cancel that when the deal's over. And then Everyday Extra, I always use $7, pays for itself 10 times over. I don't think I really need to update anything in our expenses. I did add car maintenance because this month we got a car service we pulled from our car sinking fund, but then I wanted to reflect us actually spending that money. Again, nothing really to update. We've got all of our sinking funds, travel, home, car expenses. Our emergency fund is fully funded, ETFs, business, gift fund, offset, and rainy day fund. This is something I recently added as well in the last few months. Is like guilt-free money that we can spend on whatever, things that we maybe haven't budgeted for intentionally. And then we have our debts. I don't know if this is a recent thing or if I did this at the beginning of the year, but I added extra payments so I can track exactly how much we're putting into our offset because we have that $50,000 goal by the end of the year. The way I track all of our savings and sinking funds, because we keep everything in one big account apart from our bills, and then we put all of our everyday spending on a credit card, just pay it off in full when it's due. I've talked about this before, but the 2.0 spreadsheet has a savings and debt tracker, so it will track everything automatically for you, which is so nice. This is how I know what is for what in that account. So say I have like $50,000 in my savings, how much of that is my travel fund, how much of that is my home fund, and then I'll just flick over to a random month to give you guys an example. Say I take $150 from my home sinking fund, I'll just do a minus. It'll be added to my left to spend. So this is now part of my budget because I'm pulling it from my savings. And then I'll track what I spend that $150 on. So home, Kmart, we go for a Kmart run, and that will be all automatically tracked in the savings and debt tracker, so I don't even have to think about it. All automatic, which is stunning. That's something I didn't do last year, so I would track when I put money into savings but not when I took it out. So some of these numbers when we're doing a comparison might be a little skewed. It probably looks like I saved more and spent less than I actually did last year. Whereas now I'm like really tracking everything. Let's do the comparison, shall we? I'm gonna pull up the annual dashboard. This is what I love about the 2.0 spreadsheet. Not only do I have my monthly breakdown, but I've got my annual breakdown. And this is especially good at the end of the year. You guys will see when I do my 2026 financial reset. We go into the nitty gritty of all the numbers and see exactly how much we spent. Oh, hello. Okay. Thank you, Mimi. Thank you. Just want some love. You just want some loving. So here's a look at our annual dashboard. You guys know I like to work with a zero-based budget, so every single dollar has a purpose pretty much. This total expenses isn't what we've necessarily spent. I mean, some of it is, but it's also what we've saved and our debt payoff. So total spending overview, this is what I love, the visuals. 41% of our money has gone towards debt so far this year, so $49,269. That's essentially just our mortgage, any extra payments we've made, as well as our regular payments. 21% of our money has gone towards savings, or $25,282.90. I'm actually really happy with that because we have pulled a lot from savings. We put a lot in at the beginning of the year for our US and Canada trip, and then have consequently spent that. So to still have $25,000 extra in savings, I'm really happy with. Expenses, 32.2% of our overall money has gone towards expenses. Basically everything you see in this category: groceries, petrol, pets, health, home, cleaners, gifts, treating others, eating out, social, coffee, like everything. Some of it's needs, a lot of it's wants though. So I'm interested to see the detailed breakdown of exactly where that money's gone. Although this does also include any money that we spent on travel. So it's actually not too bad. Subscriptions is always so small. I can't even see the piece of the pie, 0.3%. We have spent $304 on subscriptions and $6,666. Whoa, spooky, on bills, or 5.5% of our overall spending. Compare that to last year. I've got the figures up here. We've definitely spent more than we did last year, although last year I didn't track any time we spent money from savings. So maybe it's actually quite comparable. Let's see. Pretty on par with our debt payoff. This time last year, 40% of our money was on debt, or $39,000. We've actually managed to put $10,000 extra towards debt, so I'm really happy with that. 32.5% in savings, or $31,000. Again, not accounting for any time I took money out of savings, which would then be spent in expenses. So these numbers are a little skewed. Only 20% on expenses, or $20,426. We've actually managed to lower our subscriptions. Last year we'd spent 0.5%, or $404 on subscriptions, and it's down to $304. So pretty happy with that. And then 6% was spent on bills last year, or $5,966. The percentage is lower, but we spent $6,666, so a little bit more, which makes sense because everything is more expensive. Our insurances have gone up, health insurance, pet insurance, electricity, all of that fun stuff. All things considered, I'm actually pretty happy with that. I'm not gonna lie, I thought it'd be a lot worse. I saw the overall amount, like 120,000 compared to, what was it, 97,000 last year, and I was like, oh my gosh, we spent so much more, but like 10,000 of that was for debt. Yes, our overall expenses have been a lot higher, but I've also been tracking a lot more closely and actually tracking when I pull money from savings. In terms of our top 5 expenses, I'm really happy with everything that's in the top 5. These are really in line with us and what we value. Number 1 is our extra mortgage repayment, $25,800. Business, mortgage, travel is a big value of ours, and then the other part of the mortgage. Let's see, what were our top 5 expenses this time last year? Probably pretty similar, I'd imagine. Number 1 was our car loan. Wow, we were still paying off our car loan this time last year. Isn't that crazy? How things change. Business was number 2, naturally. Travel, that was my travel savings fund. So that $12,641 is pretty much what we spent on travel. We sucked that thing dry. And then 4 and 5 were our mortgage. Now having a look at the detailed breakdown. So I'll skip past the top 5 expenses because we've gone over those. My number 6 expense is shopping. This is why I had anxiety. I didn't think this would be so high. How much did we spend on shopping last year? I kind of combined some categories when I set up my budget at the beginning of this year. Last year I had clothing and beauty as 2 separate categories. I had takeaway and eating out as 2 separate categories. But this time last year we'd spent $1,534 on clothing. And we've spent $4,311 on shopping. That is outrageous. Okay, well that is definitely an area of improvement. I don't even know what that would be. Like Nick's suit was a big one, that was $1,000. He also got RM Williams, that was another $900. So that's like half of it. I got my Aura ring. Yeah, just big ticket purchases. Yeah, I would definitely like to see that reduced. Gosh. We've got 6 months to turn it around. Okay, this is more like it. Number 7, ETFs. We've invested $4,220.35. This time last year, we'd only invested $476. It just wasn't a priority for us. We were really focused on paying off our car loan, which makes sense. It's nice to see that our number 1 expense, the thing that we're putting the most amount of time, money, and energy into is our mortgage and paying it down quickly and like that whole debt payoff journey, but we're also able to invest alongside that as well. Next, we have groceries, $3,680.69. I imagine this would definitely be more expensive than last year. I just feel like we've in general been spending more. Oh, it's actually not that far off. This time last year we'd spent $3,144.36, and that was our 6th biggest expense. Pets, I'm assuming, will be higher because we now have 2 dogs. Maybe we'd spent $1,523, and so far this year we spent $2,905. Some of these categories, like there's simply no way of reducing that. I will not skimp out on my dogs, sorry. Eating out, we spent $2,437 on so far this year. Compared to last year, if we combine the takeaway and eating out budget we had, we are actually under, which I'm really happy with. This time last year, we'd spent $2,807 if we combine those 2 categories. We spent nearly $1,500 on gifts so far this year. $1,200 on treating others, $1,200 on the cleaners. We've put $1,200 into the gift fund. That's for like future birthdays and Christmas. We want to have a nice buffer for Christmas time. We spent $1,118 so far on petrol this year. Let's see what we spent last year. $1,083, so almost the same. Home insurance, car insurance is also more. Don't even need to look at that compared to last year to know that. Oh, coffee, let's see. $666.90 is all we've spent on coffee so far this year. That is actually astounding. Let me have a look. I feel like last year we were in the thousands, $1,022.68. I've quite literally almost halved how much we've spent on coffee in the last year. I am so proud of that. Pat on the back, lifestyle creep. Who? Why does that feel like the proudest moment of my life? Who would have thought? And yeah, that's pretty much it. Like nothing really of significance. We've actually made a lot of reductions. A lot of areas in our budget we've managed to cut back in for whatever reason. Some of it purely just lifestyle shifts, and other things that we're just choosing to cut back on so we can save in other areas and put extra money towards debt payoff or investing. This has been really very humbling. It's actually not nearly as bad as I thought it was going to be. Definitely need to curb some of that shopping, but everything else I feel like is really in alignment with us. I'm really proud of us for cutting back on our subscriptions, our coffee spending, our eating out. Like, I'm pretty happy, honestly, which I did not think I would feel that way going into this, because I saw that overall number when I was watching back and I was like, oh, I've definitely spent more, but in a different way. It's really motivating to know that extra income that we've made isn't just being spent frivolously. I mean, sometimes it is, especially when you look at how much we've spent on shopping so far this year, but it's actually going towards us and our financial future. And I can confidently say, I don't think we're giving in to lifestyle creep too much. Yeah, that is how we're tracking so far this year. The annual dashboard also gives you an overview of your income. So 50% of our income was my business income. It's now 64.6%, which is really cool to see. It's so funny how things change, because this time 12 months ago, the amount of comments I got being like, you're just with your husband for his money. You are just a trophy wife. How quickly things change. And now I get comments being like, wow, your husband must be so emasculated by what you do and your income. It's like, oh my God, there's no winning. Fortunately, I do have a very secure husband and we're very much a team, and it literally makes no difference if he makes more money or if I make more money. It is just nice to be able to contribute in this way at this point in my life. Whoa. Okay, crazy girl. So yeah, that is our budget at the midway point through the year. I'm feeling really good about it. I feel like our budget is really working for where we're at and our financial goals and just how our accounts and our money is set up. I really didn't have to make any changes. Thankfully, I feel like I was really intentional about how I set up our budget this year. The categories are in line with what we spend our money on. And it's really cool to see our top 5 expenses, especially, really in line with what we value and what our priorities are. And this was not nearly as bad as I thought it was going to be. So this is your sign. If you've been putting this off, just do the damn thing. I promise you it's never nearly as bad as you think it's going to be. I actually feel such a sense of relief and I feel motivated. I feel ready to smash the last 6 months of this year. Who knows what this half of 2025 has in store? I certainly don't, but I'm feeling ready and I'm excited to share it all with you guys, bring you guys along. As always, thank you so much for watching this video and letting me live out my childhood dream. I love you guys so much and I will see you very, very soon for another video. Bye guys.